Hello, all. A friend of mine asked me how I do a reading that I have over on my Etsy shop, and I call it my Pendulum and Shadow Card Yes No reading. This is great for yes no questions where you'd like more insight than just a yes or a no. I'm not a big fan of systems or methods where you ask a yes no question and all you get is the yes or the no. I feel like oftentimes that can muddy the water more than clear it up, or at the very least, lead to far more questions. So I like this because it adds a little additional insight. If you've seen my Etsy shop, then you know that I'm a big fan of doing yes no questions where it's not just a simple, straightforward yes no, because I think we need more insight than that. So even my yes no dice and my yes no tarot reading, they all offer a little bit more of a degree of probability or more insight than just a yes or a no, because many times things are not all one thing or another. So that's one of the reasons I really love this reading. This is something that I just kind of threw together on my own. I've used shadow cards in my reading for quite some time now. I've done pendulum readings for a long time, and I just thought this would go well together. I enjoyed it, so I started offering it for clients. And as I said, a friend of mine asked me how I do these, so I thought I'd show you guys. All you need is a pendulum and a tarot deck. I happen to have a pendulum board, but you don't have to have one in order to do this. I just really like having a pendulum board. You can actually, if you don't have a pendulum board, but you don't want to just hold the pendulum over your hand, you can actually just write yes and no across from each other on a piece of paper like they are on the pendulum board, and use that if you don't have a pendulum board. But if for whatever reason you can't do this for yourself, or if it's just a topic that is so emotionally charged for you, you don't want to read for yourself on it, then you can always pop over to the Spirit Tarot Etsy shop. I'm happy to read for you, but this is something that most people can do on their own, or that you can do on your own most of the time for most things. And like I said, I just really love it because it gives you a little extra insight. I think these are really great for when your intuition is already sort of leading you in a direction, but you just kind of want to confirm it or get a little more information, a little more idea of what's going on. So how I like to start is I kind of sort of start with the cards, then I go to the pendulum, then I go back to the card. So all you have to do for this, and again, forgive me because I am not used to this camera setup, I'll try to keep everything in frame. So you just shuffle your tarot deck while you think of your question. And then normally what we would do is take the top card off of the deck. That would normally be what we read. But the shadow card is whatever card is on the bottom of the deck. So instead of taking a card from the top, you're going to flip your deck over and look at the bottom card. Now, I don't interpret it yet. I just look at it. Then I come over to my pendulum. Now, you can see my pendulum board has yes, no, rephrase, maybe. Rarely ever do I get rephrase, because after all these years, I'm pretty good at usually getting a question that'll get us what we want, but once in a while it happens. But how I like to start every pendulum reading, and you do not have to do it the same way, is I ask the pendulum to show me yes, thank you, show me no, thank you. Now, my arm is shaking here because I'm just trying to demonstrate things, and this is not exactly an easy position for me to hold at the moment. So if you notice that my arm is shaking, yes, I know it is. It's the position. I don't shake like that when I do a reading. And even if you are a person who has like shaky hands or that, it's okay. Your pendulum will bond with you, and you can still get accurate readings, even because I do have a little bit of a shake in my hands. It's okay. Just work with your pendulum and you will develop a language with your pendulum. It's okay if your hands shake a little. It's not a huge deal. Even though some people will tell you it is. It's really not. But I digress. So once you have your yes or your no from the pendulum, then I go back to the shadow card and I interpret it in relation to the yes or no and the question that the querent has asked. Now, if you are not familiar with what a shadow card is, different readers will interpret it slightly differently, but basically it's an obstacle, it's a blockage, it's what the querent isn't seeing or doesn't want to acknowledge that they've seen. So it can be something that the querent is completely unaware of, or the querent may have seen it, but they didn't want to. So they're trying to ignore that they saw it, repress that they saw it. So this could be something hidden, or it could be something that the querent is not wanting to face. It could be an obstacle. Sometimes it'll kind of be advice almost as to how to move forward. And the shadow card is beneficial whether you get the answer you're wanting or not. So if you get the answer you don't want, then this can be what's blocking you, what the obstacle is, what the querent needs to face, accept, deal with, etc., in order to work to maybe get the outcome they want, or at least the best outcome possible in the situation. If you ask a question and it's like, yes, that absolutely will happen, which we know nothing is absolute, nothing is written in stone, everything is a degree of probability. So even if you get a yes, it's not a guarantee that what you want is 100% going to happen, for a lot of reasons that we're not going to delve into in this short video. Excuse me. But even if you get the answer you wanted, the shadow card can still provide some information, because it can help you to see if there's anything. Perhaps nothing is hindering you at the moment, but if you continue to not see something, then it could get in the way. Or there's something that you can do or be aware of in order to sort of stack the odds even more in your favor, and the shadow card can reveal that. So it can sort of shed light on things that the querent isn't seeing. It can give some advice, some guidance as to how to proceed, maybe make you aware of some things you weren't aware of, or make you go, yeah, I really was trying to ignore that issue, but I'm going to have to face it if I want to get through this the best that I possibly can. So that's what the shadow card does. And I think that it's so helpful with a yes/no question to have something like the shadow card to give you additional insight. And I absolutely love doing these readings, even though they are quick, down and dirty, easy reading. I really enjoy doing these. I feel like they really benefit clients so much more than just the yes/no on the pendulum itself. Not that that doesn't have a time and a place, but I think most times and places, more information is better. And this reading does that without having to go into a full-blown reading. So there's a time and place for that too, but some things can be handled just like this, where this gives you a starting point, something you can work on, and then you can go do a more focused full-length reading. Having the information from this, it can point you in a direction, and then you can explore that better and get the information that you really need overall. So I hope that you have found that helpful. I hope you enjoy doing these readings. And as I said before, if for whatever reason you can't or don't want to do this reading for yourself, but you would like to have one done, pop over to the Spirit Tarot Etsy shop, and I am happy to read for you. So until the next video, blessings.